So I'm finally back from my trip, and let me tell you, while I was gone, everything was in flames. Honestly, I couldn't anticipate how badly everything could have gone in my absence. But then, a week right before I return, comes one of the hypest, game-changing chapters for Black Clover. Like, I can't tell you how insane that is. And I've had a lot on my mind. I completely planned a different video when I had returned. I was going to address all the controversy going on. But then Tabata releases 331 and then everything is just... everything goes from hell to heavenly in the matter of just a single night. I can't believe it. I don't even know where to begin, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know whether I should cover the previous chapters or start with 331. I did not script this. I just got back. You know what? I'll start with what happened in the previous chapters. I'm gonna just do a TLDR. So we reached the end of the Lucifero fight. Asta and the gang, they win the fight. And unfortunately, so many people were dissatisfied with Lucifero's defeat. And I'll be the first to admit that I was disappointed by seeing Lucifero lose. And I told people this the week before I left. If Lucifero were to lose, I would be disappointed. However, I wouldn't have been upset, you know? Because I still enjoyed the fight a lot. And I know Tabata still had more planned. But then, after that chapter releases, everything turns to hell. So, here's what happens, right? There are people that gave constructive criticism towards the end of that fight. I had no issues with them whatsoever. They actually gave some pretty good opinions, but despite it all, they still enjoyed Spade. Even to the people who were mixed about it, you know, they still thought that it didn't weigh the arc down. Still has a lot of great moments. But then you have the people who don't even read BC start slandering it like crazy. That's when the dumb Disney memes blew up, right? And then there's also the third side, where there are people who do read BC, but they also joined in that slander. And, you know, I don't really care if you're gonna slander BC and make these dumb memes. They're whatever. I just ignore them, you know. I've been around since the beginning, since what? The manga's first chapter came out. Slander and Black Clover come one and one. It's just, it's how it is. But my issue, and I didn't like that a lot of people that I knew on Twitter were defending this, but a lot of them weren't just releasing slander, they were also attacking other accounts and, you know, mocking people. Any form of positivity you saw on Twitter just got absolutely destroyed. And what upset me the most about all of that, right, is that some of the mutuals that I knew were defending that, and I did not think that was okay, if I'm being real with you. Slander is one thing, but absolutely being a toxic piece of shit on Twitter, that was not acceptable at all. And you have, I'm not gonna call anybody out. They know who they are. But going out and saying, oh, don't worry, they're just, you know, Mickey Mouse memes, you know, they're just slandering it, it's just fun, you know, just let them do whatever they want, they just ignore it. Oh, and by the way, even if they are releasing all that slander, it's constructive criticism, you know? It's not at all. Like, them slandering it isn't constructive criticism. Also, I can ignore that because that's whatever. But them going after other accounts, even smaller accounts that were defending it in any shape or form, got treated like absolute crap. Like, I didn't enjoy seeing that at all. And I did my best to try to tell people, you know, be patient, respect other people's opinions. And I felt bad because, you know, like, my words, they went nowhere. There was nothing I could do to try to make the situation any better. All I try to do is, you know, try to stay positive, be myself, do what I can. And unfortunately, it led to nothing. So everything just went to absolute hell. And it's incredible to me that a lot of the people that I thought I was cool with ended up participating in probably what was one of the biggest toxic wastelands on Twitter that I've ever seen in my life. like I said, it's one thing to slander, but it's another thing to just go after accounts, just absolutely shit on them, and just, you know, and don't give me the whole, oh, they started it or or whatever. Like, nobody should have been participating in any of that nonsense, in my opinion. It's just ridiculous. At that point, I barely even tweeted. I shared some nice fan art. I made some nice positive tweets here and there. But it made me just be more of a lurker than anything. And this went on while practically my whole trip while I was gone. So I didn't really know what I could do. I felt useless. There's nothing I could do. And that sucked, you know. But in my head, I was like, we're going to move past this. The fight's over. People want to hate Lucifero. That's cool. We can move on to some slice of life. Maybe find out what could happen to Julius, because, you know, he revealed his kid form in front of the entire Clover Kingdom. I actually had another video planned about who I thought would be the next Wizard King, and I wasn't going to invite a guest. And then the following week, spoilers show up for 331, and my mind is absolutely blown. Are you kidding me? Bro, I need to, okay, I'm gonna go back to the chapter. Where is it? Beginning of 331. Oh my god, this is probably the best Night Baron has ever leaked the night. She did an incredible job, like, hyping people in a way where it's not, you know, massive. You just had them, you know, cautiously optimistic of what's gonna happen next. But I never imagined it'd be something like this. I just thought maybe it'd be about Astra, you know. We find out where the heart goes, or, you know, maybe we see some of the Supreme Devils and what they're up to. I could never have imagined seeing this. Like, I can't even talk. This is insane. So, funny enough, the week prior, I released a funny tweet where me and Buzzard were talking about what could happen in the next chapter, and I made a joke saying that, oh, boom, here comes Yuno's mother out of nowhere. Whoop, here I am. I just showed up. And that's exactly what happens. We see his mother show up. And remember, we never saw her die. We never knew her fate whatsoever. So that's why I made that, you know, that joke tweet. Like, her showing up wasn't a surprise to me. Now, his father had shown up. Ouch. We would need to start some questioning. But that obviously that didn't happen. He's dead. So she shows up and she talks about how she's Yuno's mother and she's glad to see him safe and all grown up. And she gives him a nice little hug. And, you know, all of the servants are there wondering if Yuno is going to return to Spade. The nation needs them. And, you know, they see Yuno as a sign of hope for their country. I mean, kingdom. Excuse me. And then Yuno says, I can't speak for the future. That said, there's a vow I have to keep first. The man I made that vow to is my family in the Clover Kingdom, my good friend and my rival. And then we move past that, and then we see Asta sitting in a very interesting place. We'll get back to that in a second. So Asta's talking to Libe, and he's like, maybe it was just in your memories, but because of you, I got to see my mom. I was never mad at her for abandoning me or anything, but just finding out that she loved me made me really happy. And I love this. I was wondering if Asta actually knew that was his mother, because, you know, they were both in sync, so clearly the memories that Libe was sharing had to have been shared with Asta as well. So I knew, or at least I had a strong feeling that Asta definitely saw those memories, and he knew right away that that was his mother. And he knows that she loves him very much. So this is a very wholesome moment between Asta and Libe. And then Libe's like, you idiot, that's my line. Because of you, I got to avenge Sita's death. Thanks, Asta. Now it's my turn to make your dream come true. And he gives him a little laugh. And he's like, yeah. And then boom, I'm gonna become the Wizard King. Asta and Yuno, easily one of my favorite rivalries in just most of Shonen. I love them so much. And a cool moment between Yuno and Belle, and then we got Asta and Libe. They got their own little chibi partners next to them. Now let's get to the real juicy part of this, right? A little warning, I'm about to lose my mind out of hype. So we see Asta just look into the sky, and he's like, first I have to get everyone to admit that you're a good guy, especially that Magic Parliament person with the scales. And I think Libe's like, I hate that guy. And then we see the clock. We see the clock! And then the title, Black Clover. Then we move on to the next page, right? You see Damnatio, and then Julius, and he's like, right, good work, Marx. And talk to Marx. I'm not sure about what, but Julius, he's having a pretty bad feeling about something. Something doesn't add up. And then, okay, before I continue, when Knight first leaked this, right? We see the clock, and then immediately Damnatio. I thought to myself, there is no way. Is Damnatio the fourth sibling? That doesn't make sense. Like, we know he's related to Kita, Augustus Kita Clover. So it's just, it doesn't add up, unless he's been somehow lying or manipulating somebody's memories or something. So, then we continue on to the next page. Julius is just, not understanding what's wrong. Clearly, there's something missing. Then Damnatio knocks on the door, and he's allowed entrance. Then Damnatio's like, Lord Julius, I need to speak with you. Ever since that trial, I've been investigating the existence of devils. I acquired these materials by researching a tribe of devil hosts in our kingdom. These records are from over 20 years ago. At that time, among the supreme devils matched to the Qliphoth, there was no devil known as Magicula. There are 3 devils who are said to rule the underworld. Lucifero of gravity magic, also known as Satan. Beelzebub of spatial magic. And Astaroth of time magic. It's likely that Magicula of Astaroth's successor, for some reason, Astaroth vanished from the underworld. I am not certain of this. Please tell me if I'm wrong. And while this may be a coincidence, in all of this world's history, as far as I can tell, there's only been a single time magic user, the devil who has made its lair in this kingdom. I see. Then it really is me. And then Julius's face, holy shit, bro. Tabata's art. I know I praise him all the time, but this, when it got leaked, like, the emotions that came out of me, right? The suspense, the horror, the absolute terror in Julius's face, everything that Tabata was building up to was just released in this one panel. Everyone is freaking out. I am losing my mind. I would love to relive this moment 1,000 times, because holy shit, I was gone. Everybody on Twitter was gone. And then right after this, he's like, tell me it isn't you. Damnatio, hurry up, don't let me. And then boom, you didn't want it to be true, huh? And then final arc. And then we see Julius's grimoire just appear in the sky. And then we see what appears to be his grimoire. And then boom, we see Astra show up, and he's like, hey there. It went basically the way you said it would. Lucius, Zogratis. And then boom, at the end, yes, the time has come. The ultimate Wizard King. Are you kidding me, bro? Dude, do you have any idea how much this changes everything? The fact that Julius was the 4th sibling, I cannot believe it. And not only that, he has a time devil as well? Bro, I cannot believe it. It's been like a week and I'm still losing my mind. I'm sorry. I can't even talk properly. And this is coming from the guy, right? I've had conversations about this before. I was never a fan of the theory about, Julius being evil or him being the 4th sibling. I had this conversation with a friend back in 2020 where I said, no, he told me, right, that he felt that Julius could have had the time devil. And then I was like, and he could be evil. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm not a fan of that theory at all. I thought that, if he did it, it'd be silly or whatever. But no, Tabata, the way he did it, the execution to it all is insane. Just, that gives Black Clover a whole different, that makes us look at the series at a whole different light. Like, I apologize, I can't even talk clearly, but this just has, this has my mind blown, right? And then if you scroll up in the earlier pages, when you see Damnatio talking to Julius, you look at the flashbacks, right, of previous panels, just so many hints, right? Just look at this. Think about it for a minute, right? I even made this into a tweet, right? Let's look at the compilation here. This motherfucker, quote, Julius. Number 1, immediately befriended Yami when he arrived in Clover. He didn't kill Patry because he needed William alive. He didn't give William a harsh punishment at all. Both were captured and the gates were open. Remember, they were looking for a dark magic user, and someone with World Tree magic. And he managed to get both of them together this whole time. Then afterwards, when Clover was being attacked, right? Julius was doing his best to defend it, and obviously that failed. Everything was going according to Lucius's plan. And I know this brings up the theory, right, about Julius himself. Oh, is Julius another William Patry situation? Is he another soul? Or is he perhaps a dead body that's being used by Lucius? Or perhaps is he a split personality? Or perhaps is he a really good damn actor and, you know, he just was pretending this whole time, so much so that even to himself, he was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna keep playing this act until the time is right. So many theories, so many possibilities. One of my guesses, I mean, there's so many, right? But one of the guesses that I came up with, I mentioned it to Buzzard. Give me a minute. I tweeted it out, right? I said that this could be like a Death Note situation, right? So, if you've seen Death Note, there's a situation where Light has his memories erased, right? And while he has his memories erased, that gives him the perfect opportunity to try to trick L into believing that he's not Kita, he's on their side, and he has this huge grand scheme to try to get the Death Note back, which would ultimately lead to L's defeat. It's a really good plan. Once he gets it back, he gets his memories back, and boom, that's essentially the condition, right? So I feel like it could be similar to that, where Lucius not transformed, but he erased his memories to be quote-unquote Julius, but he had it done in a way where even if he thought of himself as a good person, all of his actions would lead into him ultimately, you know, gaining the upper hand, and that would lead into the clock theory, right? And I made a tweet about it saying how insane it is, right? So the fact that the theory is true is insane. So that might mean that Asta and the gang actually lost and possibly died to Lucifero multiple times. It was thanks to Lucius messing with time that Asta won, and Adro got Lucy's heart. It was all calculated. So, I'd also like to give credit to QB the King too, who brought this up on J Cloud's space. We had a fun conversation last week. It was really fun. But he mentioned how, you know, during the fight against Lucifero, you notice that there's a panel while Lucifero looks at one of the clocks, and then right after that, you know, he starts throwing a tantrum. And I always thought that was unusual that someone like him would throw a tantrum like that. You know, like not even Dante threw a tantrum like that, at least not in the beginning. He did that way towards Magna at the end, but like the way Lucifero did it was just absolutely like unexpected, to say the least. And now that I see this, you know, clock theory and how the events have been playing out and the Lucius reveal, it makes sense, right? He knew like that was his match to win, and there likely are scenarios where he was winning. He beat Asta, he likely killed him, he defeated them, he defeated all the captains, and all the Black Bulls were likely killed in the result. And then you have Lucius turn back time to have different events play out until a certain outcome comes in his favor, right? So, and this is something I brought up, right? So this is coming from me. I brought up that this could be very similar to the Witch's Forest arc, right? So, do you remember the part where the Witch Queen had gained control of Asta, and then Asta had gone around, quote-unquote, killing his friends, like Noelle, Vanessa, and, you know, various people that were there that was, you know, hung up in like a cross. And, you know, Rouge had to come in and change fate so that people like Noelle and Vanessa wouldn't die. I think it's a situation like that. But instead of us seeing it, you know, we're all finding out about it now. And I know there's like small complaints out there. They're like, oh, why didn't they show that or hint at it earlier? And I'm like, if they did, that would have taken up the impact of this reveal. Like, it's because we got no hints that it got such a reaction that it did. So I'm seeing this being very similar to the situation with the Witch Queen, where, you know, instead of seeing Rouge being the one to change fate, it's Lucius being the one to change time and probability to match the outcome that he wanted. It's all calculated and it's perfect, right? I just think that's really genius on Tabata's part. And don't even get me started on the Julius revival thing. That was likely very planned too, which is kind of funny to me because that's one of the most criticized things ever. But that all led to this huge reveal. So that whole situation is null and void. I don't want to hear that be brought back up at all. But that's a whole different can of worms I honestly don't even want to get back into. Man, like, you think the dumb, like, slander that was going on the past 2 weeks was bad? That was the worst experience with BC I'd ever been part of. And you know what's bad when even I was just... I was acting pretty badly too. But like I said, let's move on from that. So, it's absolute insanity to see what Tabata did. And what makes me so bummed out, right, is that we're getting a 3-month hiatus, right? And Tabata left a little message at the end, along with the editorial. They said, "Thank you for always supporting Black Clover. To prepare for the new story arc, Black Clover will be going on a short break starting next issue. After discussing things with Tabata-sensei, it was decided to allow him to rest for a short amount of time before starting the creation of a new arc. The break is planned to be about 3 months, and the return date will be announced in a future issue of Weekly Shonen Jump. This may be difficult news for those looking forward to the next chapter, but we request your patience and understanding. We ask that you continue to support Black Clover going forward. Weekly Shonen Jump Editorial Department." And then we have Tabata's sensei's own words. "I personally wish to keep going without taking a break, but after discussing things with the editorial department, we decided that I should take a long break to give me more time to create the final arc. Now, before I continue, people are kind of confused by this, and here's my understanding of what Tabata's trying to say. So it seems like if Tabata really wanted to, he could have continued going on weekly as things had, you know, been going on. But it seems like the editorial department likely went up to him and they gave him a choice. Would you like to continue going on the way you are? Or would you like to be given a short break to see if you can make the final arc the best it can be? It's your choice." And then Tabata probably thought it out and he's like, if I really want this final arc to be the best I can have it be throughout my abilities, then taking a short break is likely the best route. So then afterwards he's like, "I apologize to those who look forward to reading the new chapters each week, but I plan to do my best to make Black Clover as good as it can be and give a proper conclusion. So, I'd appreciate it if you could just wait a little longer." And you know what, Tabata? I respect it. Take all the time you need. I am still bummed out that we're getting a break, but I completely understand where you're coming from. I don't blame you. Take the time you need. I know you're also working on the movie, so that probably also helped influence your decision. So not only have you been given time, but you've also been given a break. Don't forget, we're also going into Golden Week, so I don't think the 3 months apply to Golden Week. It probably applies after that. But still, you know, he's absolutely deserved of it, and I'm really gonna be excited to see how he continues this final arc, because my God, that reveal was something else. Like, this trended worldwide. Everyone who was slandering it was real quiet that night, and they're still quiet now. Everybody is hyped. Everybody in the community is hyped, and it's just insane. Like, look at this final panel. Look at look at his smile. That shit is sinister as hell, bro. And then the Ultimate Wizard King. Now, I don't know if that's the name of the final arc, but I know King Fades had made a tweet that I really liked a lot, and he said that if this is the name of the final arc, then it's very symbolic of, you know, Asa and Yuno having to fight against, you know, the person who has the title of which they dreamed of always having. It's like, it's really crazy. You know, you gotta fight Julius / Lucius, the one person you looked up to the most, the person that you dreamed of and inspired of becoming, is the final villain. That is, like, heartbreaking. And don't get me started on all the people that likely have a vendetta against Lucius, because that number could grow. I know there's, like, so many discussions about, like, you know, Zora and his father. Maybe he had something to do with his death, or, you know, a bunch of other things I can't think of at the moment. But there's so many things going on right now. Everybody's rereading Black Clover, and it's fun. You know, it's a lot of fun. But you know, you think about the rereads, right? Like looking back, right? Like at an earlier panel, when Julius saw Asta's grimoire, like he took a good look at that, and he was like, "Yep, I got what I wanted." And then he suddenly knew that Asta had anti-magic, and he's like, "How did you know?" And he's like, "That's a good question, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Bro, are you kidding me? Dude, these subtle little things are completely over all of our heads. Like, my God." And then that one panel where it says that I can't believe he has two souls in one body, where he's fighting against Patri. Obviously, it's definitely still about Patri, but that's also alluding to Julius. Like, my God, Tabata is a goddamn genius, bro. Jeez, like, this absolutely insane. Like, I'm sorry, like, I can't contain all this hype. I'm just amazed. Tabata, he played the long game, and he likely knew that there could have been quite a few critiques about some of the decisions he's making, but it all paid off so beautifully. Like, I keep telling people, have faith in Tabata, be patient. Just, that's all you had to do. And I didn't like that some people, especially a certain person, talking about how after Lucifero got defeated, how Tabata apparently forgot plot points and completely abandoned them. Listen, man, I don't care who you are, what you think, or whatever, but until the final chapter of whatever series you're talking about has reached that final page, I don't think you should ever say that a mangaka has forgotten a plot point. Now, if the series is done and they legitimately forgot about it, that's a fair point. But Black Clover isn't done yet. Tabata didn't abandon these plot points at all. You have to wait until, you know, he brings it back up in a future chapter. There was no way he was gonna do that. If that fight was the last chapter for Black Clover and that's how the series ended, you'd have a fair point. But Tabata didn't forget any plot points. This series is still ongoing, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous to say that's like a mangaka would forget a plot point. And I don't even mean that for Black Clover. I mean that for literally any series. I don't care if you're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, or, you know, other series that's outside of Jump like Vagabond or, you know, Berserk. Now, Berserk is a different situation, but, you know, you get what I mean, right? If Miria hadn't passed away, you know, you can't say that, oh, he abandoned these plot points. You know, that's just a ridiculous claim to make, especially when you're not a part of that, you know, creative process. It's really dumb to have to say that, especially with, like, with your chest open like that. It's just stupid, in my opinion. But, that aside, back to the break. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Kubo. Because when Bleach was in the middle of its final arc, I remember that Kubo took an 8-week break. Now, obviously they're not the same, but it just reminds me of that. Because Kubo took that 8-week break to, you know, make sure that he could work on the ending of the final arc of the 1,000-year Blood War arc. And, you know, have it be done in a way that he feels satisfied. And, obviously, you know, I think he would have wished to have done more, and we're gonna see that in the anime. But at the time, he took that break, and he did his best to work on the last few pages of that arc, right when they were about to be released. So I feel like we're in a similar situation, except the difference here is that Tabata is using this time to work on the final arc, the beginning of the final arc itself. So I mean, I think that's really cool. You know, on the topic of Kubo and Bleach, I will say I think it's ridiculous to make these Aizen and Lucius comparisons. And well, not exactly, you know, ridiculous to compare them, because obviously, you know, it's a huge reveal, a huge traitorous reveal. But what I mean is, you know, saying that, oh, Aizen clears Lucius, or Lucius clears Aizen. Guys, that's so dumb. Like, Bleach and Black Clover are goated as hell. My reaction to Aizen back in the day was, like, absolute insanity. My reaction to Lucius is the exact same. Both of them are awesome in their retrospect. And I'm really excited to see what Lucius does, because Aizen, like you look at Aizen, I love Bleach so much, and Aizen is easily one of my favorite villains of all time. And if Lucius manages to, you know, become that level, to be like Aizen, easily gonna be in my top 5, no doubt about it. I'm gonna have Lucius and Aizen like right there. That's just me. And I honestly do trust Tabata a lot on what he's gonna do with Lucius, and I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen next. But my God, this video is getting kind of long. But yeah, I essentially said everything I needed to say. We're in a 3-month break, but I still have so many more videos planned, so many more. And I apologize for having to be gone for these few weeks and not being able to really speak my mind or try to, you know, make videos to try to cheer up the fandom during like its harsher times during these 2 weeks. It's just I was not near a laptop or a PC or anything. I couldn't do any videos or nothing like that. I felt bad and I felt useless. You know me, I try my best to spread all types of, you know, positivity. I know I'm sounding extremely repetitive, but you know, I do my best to make everyone happy and hopeful that, you know, the future of the series is still, you know, in good hands. That, you know, if you just remain patient, you'll be rewarded for that patience, because I always feel like Tabata always delivers, so long as you just remain patient throughout the series as it run. So that's just how I feel, and I'm glad that not just me, but everyone who was, you know, waiting patiently for all of this, they're being rewarded for this. And it's absolutely ridiculous to me that there are people who, you know, I guess as like people on Twitter are memeing, oh, they switched sides, people are like super hyped about it. And you know, if you went from slandering it to being hyped, I have no issues with that whatsoever. But don't pretend like you weren't being patient at all when people were telling you to be that way too. It's just a bad look overall. It's just whatever. But you know, we're done with that. I think everyone's happy now, and you know, that makes me happy. I don't want to bring any ill will to anyone. I just want to move on from all of that. I want us to come together as a group, as a fandom, be really excited for Black Clover, continue to support Tabata, be excited for the movie, and be excited for the upcoming Clover Summit that Buzzard's hosting again in the future. I mean, there's a lot of Black Clover discussions to be had, and that'll keep us busy for the next 3 months. So I don't think things are all too bad. But yeah, that'll do it for me for now. I'm just gonna say that even though the last 2 chapters before this one were like, you know, heavily criticized or whatever, I still enjoyed them. I still love Black Clover. I still enjoyed those chapters, and I knew that Tabata had something planned, and I'm glad that I was right about that. So right now, continue to have faith on Tabata, and let's continue to look forward to what Tabata has planned next. So for now, I'm gonna end the video, and I would love to hear your comments, because I've seen some people comment in my older videos about what's going on. I'm glad I'm releasing this video now. So please let me know what you think. Any theories, any just anything that you have to say about the chapter, what you think is gonna happen next. I'm always down for a discussion, and I usually don't say this really often, but I would really appreciate it if you guys give me a like and, you know, subscribe to my channel if you really enjoy the content that I'm releasing, because I plan to release a lot more videos during these 3 months. So, you know, I would just really appreciate that. But yeah, for now, that'll do it for me. Let's look forward to the future of Black Clover and what Tabata has in store for us next. Peace out, everyone.